Good evening. It is November 15th, 2021. It's 7 p.m. here in the City Hall, City Council chambers. Call the meeting of the City Council to order. Conduct the roll call. Carla, please.
Beaufore.
Here.
Birgen.
Here I am.
Drenkow.
Here.
Kangas.
Present.
Meyers.
Here.
Rathe.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Our guest council member is ill tonight, he informed me, so we will proceed on to Section C, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Move forward with item D, the approval of the agenda. I did have one request to postpone item number 2 of regular business to the December 6th meeting, as the flags are requesting this due to short notice to review the materials. So if somebody wants to make that motion as such.
So move.
Okay, got a motion to
Second.
and a second by Mr. Schneider. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The agenda is approved as amended. Item E is approval of the minutes as presented there. Entertain a motion, please.
I'll move approval of the October 25, 2021 study session minutes and the November 1, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Rathe. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Item F is the oaths of office. Mr. Bronner.
Yes, sir.
We all come up individually this time. We have tried the group effort. It is not efficient. So we're going to scrap that, and you'll have your official pen to sign, but I will keep these for you, and you get your actual certificates when you're done. I'll let you
Follow along. That'd be appreciated.
All right, sir, if you would raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I
Adam Hoffman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of mayor
discharge all of the duties of the office of mayor
in the city of Waverly, Iowa,
in the city of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
I'll sign these at the end, Carla. I'll get them all knocked out.
Got that one signed too.
It's just a scrap.
Okay.
So, next I'll have Councilman Birgen come up, if you would, sir. Would you please raise your right hand? Repeat after me. I
I, Brian Birgen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the office of First Ward Council Member
discharge all duties of the office of First Ward Council Member
for the city of Waverly, Iowa,
for the city of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereinafter required by law.
as now or hereinafter required by law.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Drenkow, if you would, sir. If you'd raise your right hand, sir. I
I, Rathe Drenkow,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the office
discharge all duties of the office
of 3rd Ward Council Member
of 3rd Ward Council Member
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereinafter required by law.
as now or hereinafter required by law.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. Mr. Kangas, if you would, sir. Please raise your right hand. Follow after me. I
I, Timothy Kangas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the office
discharge all duties of the office
of 5th Ward Council Member
of 5th Ward Council Member
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereinafter required by law.
as now or hereinafter required by law.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Ms. Rathe, if you would come up, please. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. I
I, Ann Rathe,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the office
discharge all duties of the office
of Council Member at Large
of Council Member at Large
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereinafter required by law.
as now or hereinafter required by law.
Congratulations. All right, well, we'll worry about that in a minute. Ms. Everhardt, come forward, please. Would you please raise your right hand? Repeat after me. I
I, Laurie Everhardt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the office
discharge all duties of the office
of Hospital Board of Trustees
of Hospital Board of Trustees
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
for the City of Waverly, Iowa,
as now or hereinafter required by law.
as now or hereinafter required by law.
Congratulations, ma'am. You'll get an official one after the fact. Thank you, ma'am. And I don't see Mr. Jones here, so we'll have to catch him in a later date.
He's ill.
Unless he's on white cut. All right, that's all I have then.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Move forward with item G here, public comments for items not on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. Any public comments this evening? Seeing nobody rise, we will move forward with section H, the consent calendar. The following items will be acted upon by voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Item 1, setting a public hearing on the disbursement of the 2021 American Rescue Plan funds for December 6, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall. Item 2 is pay request from Blackhawk Roof Company for the First Street Northeast building renovations, roof core sampling for the amount of $250. Item 3 is a pay request from Schneider and Associates for the traffic study 2020 for the amount of $8,470. Item 4 is a pay request from Cardinal Construction Incorporated for the South Riverside Park and Shelter 2020 for the amount of $5,888.70. Item 5 is a pay request from Grider Construction Incorporated for the WPC Facility Improvements 2020 for the amount of $846,519.35. Item 6 is a pay request from Cresco Building Services for the Public Services Center North Edition 2021 for the amount of $272,555.95. Item 7 is a pay request from Align Architecture and Planning, PLC for the South Riverside Plaza for the amount of $4,288.60. Item 8 is a pay request from Buildings and Grounds, LLC for the South Riverside Park and Plaza for the amount of $46,795. Item 9 is a Class C liquor license for Prairie Links Golf and Event Center. And item 10 is a Class E liquor license for Hy-Vee. Entertain a motion to approve.
I will move approval of the consent calendar as read by the mayor.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Drenkow. Council comments, if any? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Section I, regular business. Item number 1 is Resolution 21-159. A resolution approving the support and financial commitment from the City of Waverly for the Main Street program in Waverly, Iowa. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-159, approving the support and financial commitment from the City of Waverly for the Main Street program in Waverly, Iowa.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Meyers. Council discussion. If any? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
On a vote of 7-0, Resolution 21-159 is approved. For the record, see Mr. Tolliver and Mr. Knudsen joined us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is Resolution 21-160, a resolution approving clarification of a maintenance agreement with Clayton Flagg.
that was
We've
removed from
moved
the
that
agenda.
from the agenda for tonight. We'll move on to number 3. Resolution 21-161, a resolution setting a public hearing for the vacation of the alley to the north of 111 6th Street Northwest and conveyance to the adjoining property owners. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-161, setting a public hearing for the vacation of the alley to the north of 111 6th Street Northwest and conveyance to the adjoining property owners for December 6, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall.
Second.
Motion by Meyers, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
That's about a half a block from my house. I think that it's very wise for us to do this if we can, to sign this over to the property owner, and I have no problem doing it for no charge or just the fees for the recording fees, because that alley has no use for the city at this point, and it makes a lot of sense to have the property owner be able to maintain that driveway. Their garage is in the back of the property, and it faces that alley, so it makes some sense for them to be able to get in and out of that. I guess the one question that I have is on the property line between that property, which Mr. Dillaboo is selling, and the Dillaboo Business Oil Company. Is he planning to put a fence or a barrier so that they can't drive through the back there to access the back of the property?
Yeah, I believe that's what he's expecting to do, so that there won't be any people parking on that side or coming in from that direction. Just separate the two properties, since he now is going to sell it to somebody else.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. So.
Anything further? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
A vote of 7-0 with 0 absent. Resolution 21-161 is approved. Item 4 is Resolution 21-162, a resolution approving the City of Waverly's participation in and approval of settlements that would resolve all opioid litigation by states and local subdivisions against various defendants. Entertain a motion.
I would move approval of Resolution 21-162, approving the City of Waverly's participation in and approval of 2 proposed nationwide settlement agreements with pharmaceutical distributors, McKesson, Cardinal Health, and Amerisource Birgen, and one manufacturer, Janssen Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, and its parent company, Johnson & Johnson, and directing the city attorney to register the city and sign consent documentation on behalf of the city to complete the settlement.
Second.
Motion by Kangas, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
I assume the downside of not approving this would be that we couldn't participate in any kind of settlement, and if we wanted to do something, we would have to actually sue them as the City of Waverly, which we're not going to do. I don't really see a downside to doing this.
The Attorney General's office had a conference or a Zoom call with us and indicated that this allows the state to add our community and the residents as a representative for the state so that they can get more money for the whole settlement. So the more cities they sign up, the more money they get, and then they'll be doing a program where they actually distribute the funds in a different manner by need and that kind of thing. So it's just participating with the state.
I guess that was my question of distribution. If, as a city, we don't really have a public health department, but would it just get more benefit for the state as a whole? And it sounds like
it
that's
does, yeah.
Anything further? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-162 is approved. Item number 5 is Resolution 21-163, a resolution accepting the citywide asphalt patching fall 2021 project is complete and approving pay estimate number 1 as the final pay request. Entertain a motion, please.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-163, accepting the citywide asphalt patching fall 2021 project as complete and approving pay estimate number 1 in the amount of $16,679 as the final pay request to Heartland Asphalt of Mason City, Iowa.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Schneider. Council discussion.
Looks like it came in under budget. That's always good.
And were staff pleased with how it turned out?
Oh, it's nice. Smooth, nice. It's real nice. Yes, we are. It hit the areas we needed, and it was done well, so.
Okay. All right, hearing no further discussion, Carla, for the roll call.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-163 is approved. Item 6 is Resolution 21-164, a resolution accepting certification filed by the Finance Director to the Bremer County Auditor detailing the amount of new loans, advances, and indebtedness which qualify for payment from tax increment revenues of the Waverly Unified Urban Renewal Plan. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-164, accepting certification filed by the Finance Director to the Bremer County Auditor detailing the amount of new loans, advances, and indebtedness which qualify for payment from tax increment revenues of the Waverly Unified Urban Renewal Plan.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Kangas. Council discussion. If any.
I always think it's helpful to have a little explanation about, this sort of goes with the next resolution also, but I think it's confusing, and for the public, maybe if people could give a little summary of what this is.
This report is us certifying for our fiscal year 2023 collections on our tax increment financing. So what you'll see in the next one is your urban renewal report, and that one's going backward, showing you what we received last year, how we spent it, how we used it. This one's going forward, and we're requesting those payments so that we can, or requesting those funds so we can make those payments for the next year. We're required to certify this by December 1st, so it's just us telling them what we need so they can divide up our taxes.
So normally when you see GO bonds, they're specifically split out to be tax increment financing. That's why you only see 4, and then the agreements you've already signed off on in the past are listed as well. So As Gina said, this is part of what she has to do multiple reports of due December 1st. Why December 1st? I have no idea. Why not the end of the year? We don't know. December 1st. And there's 3 of them in here you'll have to look at, so.
So the Waverly Hotel Group, that's the Cobblestone Inn,
Yes, sir.
and the Red Fox reconstruction is not yet in here.
Correct.
No.
That agreement's not in force at this time.
Thank you.
But will be when the development agreement is complete, right?
When the project is, when the increase in taxes cause increment to be generated.
Correct.
So once it's complete and we start charging more taxes, then they'll get the tax rebate.
It's about 18 months after, at least 18 months after they first certify the valuation being higher.
Okay.
Keyword is increment. If it's not graded, it's not paid.
All right, hearing no further discussion, roll call, Carla.
Rathe,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore,
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Meyers.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-164 is approved. Item 6A is the approval of the fiscal year 2021 State Urban Renewal Report.
I'll move approval of the fiscal year 2021 State Urban Renewal Report.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Rathe. Council discussion, if any? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Item 7 is Resolution 21-165, a resolution approving the street finance report for fiscal year 2021. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-165, approving the street finance report for fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Motion by Schneider, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
Gene, you want to provide a real brief description of what this is as well?
The street finance report is going to outline how you used and what funds outside of road use tax you used for streets and any street lighting, anything operation like that for roads. This goes to the DOT and goes on to the feds as well. We're required to do this one annually. This one used to be due a couple months sooner, but they did change the due date and align it December 1st with all the rest.
How nice of them.
I was going to say, real convenient.
Just pile on.
All right. Hearing nothing more for the good of the cause, roll call, Carla.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-165 is approved. Item number 8 is Resolution 21-166, a resolution fixing date for a public hearing on the proposition to authorize a lease agreement payable from the general fund in the principal amount of not to exceed $400,000 for personal property for use by the city and providing for publication of notice thereof. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-166, fixing December 6th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall as the date, time, and place for a public hearing on the proposition to authorize a lease agreement payable from the general fund in the principal amount of not to exceed $400,000 for personal property for use by the city and providing for publication of notice thereof.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Kangas. Council discussion.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain this one to me.
Yeah, this all came from Ehlers. So in a nutshell, this is the lease for the police vehicles we talked about thoroughly budget. They don't put it in here. I will talk to Ehlers about this next time to give us a little more cursor what this is. So the reason we have to do it is a couple years ago, the federal government changed disclosure rules, and it's Rule 12C if you want to look it up. It's real tasty. Anything that we have now, an extended lease, is now treated as if it's debt. So there's an encumbrance of the city finance it for multiple years. This, of course, qualifies because we have a lease for multiple years. It's personal property because we will never actually take possession of them. We would roll to a new lease at the expiration of this lease, just as we've done before. We're just not paying them off full every 4 years. We're leasing every 4 years. Better program, better software, better integration of everything, better in general, but it requires a public hearing now each time we do it, because again, as they've changed the rules for whatever reason now, everything we do lease-wise also is considered almost a debt to the city. So that is what you're looking at, is the lease of the patrol car vehicles, and then we'll be able to get them all on the road and get them going. So
So personal property essentially is saying the dealership owns the vehicles and we're just leasing
We're
them.
borrowing them,
Yeah.
so to speak. It's not our property technically, which is why that term, I'm not a fan of it, but that's the official term that we use. So
It's kind of like our copiers and stuff like that we lease, just on a different magnitude of funding that requires.
yeah, we might have to do that for them too. So we're still working on the rulings.
Well,
Does it matter how much? Is it truly what it is? It could very well be that we have to do this for a
Right.
$5,000 copier lease. But that's the rulings that have come through now. So disclosure is a big one right now, the federal government, and they're real serious about it. So here we go. That's what they pay them to keep us out of trouble for, is these things.
I just wanted to show the relation to.
Can we get some vice versa of that with disclosure from that?
No.
You can try. All right. Roll call, Carla.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0. Resolution 21-166 is approved. Item number 9, approve the Public Works Director staff appointment for the city. Mr. Bronner.
Yes, sir. So in the last year or so, as you've all been a part of this, we have gone department by department. We've looked at positions, whether we need additional, less, et cetera. We've added a sergeant in the police department for succession planning. We've added a position in Parks and Rec as the diamonds and other facilities have come online, and so it continues going forward. We have a new finance director of less than a year. We have new HR of less than a year. So as we keep progressing, when you look at Public Works and the complex is about to be finished in the next month or so, it's my belief that we need a full-time body out there as well. It's one of the largest divisions in the entire city, and you're talking about the largest infrastructure. While roads and streets and that people are familiar, the underground infrastructure of water, sewer, storm sewer is just as big, if not bigger, and the costs are a little more substantial if things go wrong with them. So I've worked with HR, and we are looking at bringing an individual on, Justin McGlon, who's been with the city for a few years now or so, about 4 years, I believe. And we went through internal interviews. We had a couple great candidates, and in the end, Justin did prevail on that. And so it is my recommendation to you that we approve to hire a Public Works Director to take on that facility when it's completed in the next month, roughly. So if there's any questions, I'm glad to answer them. If Justin has any comments or anything he'd like to say, it's completely up to you. I hate to put you on the spot, but we generally do that, as Gina knows, and others, so it's kind of how it works.
Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens of Waverly, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Justin McGlon. I've been here since 2017 as the Water and Sewer Line Maintenance Superintendent. I've been in Public Works since 2006. In all aspects, plowing snow, picking up dogs, anything, So I've been around a little while, I've been doing this, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I think I can do a good job furthering my career with the city of Waverly, and if you got any questions, feel free to call, stop by my office, whatever, so.
I mean, I will say that Public Works is one of those things that people really care about. I mean, it seems like most people at home don't really care about, tax increment financing, but man, if the streets aren't plowed, we'll hear about it. So I think that you have a very important position for the people of Waverly.
Yes, I do.
Bill. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Justin.
Any further council discussion? Hearing none, roll call, or voice vote. All in favor of the approval of the Public Works Director, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Councilman.
Item 10 is the first reading of ordinance 1095, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Waverly Municipal Code, repealing and replacing sections 4.020, 4.030, 4.040, 4.050, and 4.060, establishing new legal boundaries for wards and precincts 1 through 5 of the City of Waverly and setting a public hearing. Entertaining motion.
I'll move approval of the first reading of ordinance 1095, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Waverly Municipal Code, repealing and replacing sections 4.020, 4.030, 4.040, 4.050, and 4.060, establishing new legal boundaries for wards and precincts 1 through 5 of the City of Waverly, and setting September 6, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall as the date, time, and place for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Birgen.
I would just have to say that it's December 6th.
Oh, sorry. What did I say? September? Oh, well, okay.
December 6th.
Back to the
It
future.
is.
December 6th.
So I got a motion and a second on December 6th. Council discussion or Bill, James?
I'll tell you that there was 4 of us that went through the program, used the state's program on how to play with the lines, and it actually is really fun. You click on certain voting blocks and you can color them the different way. You can put them in different districts. You can move everything around and kind of play all day long if you want, kind of doing around a circle.
We didn't. We had other work to do.
Some of us played with it.
Yeah, it was a little while, though.
But
4 people.
Just saying.
You were trying to establish geographic boundaries like in major highway, railroad right-of-ways if you can. There's times when you have to do a little bit different because you have to make it work, especially when you have a block, a census block that's pretty big. And that's the one that's kind of sticking up on the top of District 3 because that's the Wartburg housing units, and that's, I think it's 900, is it 400 or 500, I think? So it was a big one to move around back and forth. And so we tried to keep District 3 intact with Wartburg in the central corridor there. We tried to keep as much in District 3 as we could. What you're trying to do when you do it for 10 years is you're trying to project where growth might happen in the next 10 years, because 10 years from now you could have one that's way low. So we put a few more votes in that one as opposed to the other ones, because we know it's landlocked and it's really not going to grow substantially. So you look at the other 4 districts and they all have some opportunity for growth. So we kept them as even as possible. Tried to keep it on each side of the river to some extent. And I think the boundaries came out pretty well. I'll have to say that all 4 of us did it on our own and then got together and showed each other what we had, and they were almost all very, very close in the way they were set up. And it just took some kind of moving things around here and there. I'm not as crazy about the bottom side of District 3, but there's a lot of people in those different blocks, and so you start moving them around, it's kind of hard to do them. In 10 years, we hope that would be evened out and probably be a bigger district at that point, and it'll still be the same kind of district, I think. And so I think that was the best way to try to do it. We can do that the same way on the top line of blocks. So you had to kind of look at where you could grow with that district without actually kind of interfering with the rest of the way you're doing it. So it was an interesting exercise. I didn't know where anybody lived when I did all this, so don't blame me. I didn't look on purpose, whether it be anything, because we really were just trying to get cohesive districts that made sense together. So if you have any questions, I know, like I said, Carla and I were both involved in that process. I think Isaac and Val were involved in that process too. So
this would bring Ward 3 up to balance a little bit better, because we're pretty short now. Where is that ward exactly, roughly, in population now?
I don't have the old one with me, but I know that 3 isn't going to grow very well, and it actually lost because of the 08
flood.
The aftermath of some of that happening. And so, we see growth in all the other 4 sectors when it comes. We don't know how much it'll be, but it'll be growth. And 3 can then expand a little bit, both north and south, when we need to do that, and we can move things around the edges. We didn't want to make any weird gerrymandering things anywhere, because we didn't need to. As long as we were able to get those balanced pretty well with the way we set up the districts, I think they turned out pretty well, actually.
So will this be effective immediately, assuming we approve?
It's effective in January for the next election.
23, 24.
Yeah, 23, 24.
Well, if we have a special election, it would take effect.
But it also changes voting wards for precincts for those for 22, doesn't it?
The precincts are set, we do a precinct per ward.
Right.
Is what we designate. And then the county does their precincts, and there's some collaboration there. If we use the same precincts, then we'll probably come to you with an agreement to share at some point. The interesting thing about the way the supervisors have to wait now is they set up the precincts, but they send it in with ours, and the state has theirs too. And they have to do it at the state level for supervisors. So the local people don't do the actual mapping for the supervisor districts. But I'll tell you that the Iowa House line that we're in, comes down kind of just a little bit to the right of Waverly and then cuts around us and goes around Denver. And there's only about 7,500 or 7,300 people in the rest of the district, the rest of the county, and that's going to be one district. So it's going to be 900 off. The other two districts are going to be 900 people higher than the largest one because of the way they set the House districts, because you can't cross that House line. So it'll be interesting to see how they come up with that, but it most likely is going to split Waverly 2 or 3, 2 in one and 3 in the other, as far as the wards are concerned. Instead of having Waverly have 4 wards in one district. So it'll be Waverly will be split pretty much between that. So it seems that's the way it's going to happen.
So Shelley will pick up some comments on that, kind of not making, what can we make the most sense out of our borders? And one thought would be, why not have 4 wards, and we change Ward 3 to an at-large seat in the meantime, and we go to 3 and 4. And I didn't play with the software, but I suspect that would allow us to kind of, okay, you're on this side of the river, you're in this ward. Otherwise, it's to explain this to people. What ward are you in? I have to get out a map, and I'm still going to have to get out a map.
Yeah. It would be pretty, it's pretty straightforward to divide 3 into all the other, move things somewhat. It would still look about the same. It just would shrink and it'd go away, and you'd kind of move all of them a little bit. I played with it a little bit today. The mayor asked me to look at that a little bit, and it's doable. It's really a choice that the council has to make, whether you do it with 4 or whether you do it with 5.
And in that case,
it is not difficult to do.
Right. And in that case, it wouldn't kick Mr. Drenkow out of his seat. He would continue to serve.
The at-large
seat would absorb that. So there's no threat of attacking an individual that way. My thought behind it is that in 2032 or 2031, 10 years from now, when this is happening again, having Ward 3 already dispersed amongst the other 4 would make the mapping easier in the future. Otherwise, District or Ward 3 would essentially keep growing as the rest of it grows. We can make it look larger just by adding Memorial Park and the golf course, right now.
There's not very many.
That's what I'm saying. Except for the high school side's over here, so that's all gone. But
if this is open for discussion right now, I would be strongly opposed to doing that. I think Ward 3 has some significant reasons why it should be retained as a ward, because it is a very cohesive group that represents a particular constituency, a particular part of the city that is not more modern development. It has the older part of the city. It has the straight north, south, east, west blocks. It has, the older sewage and water lines. Everything in it that has a particular challenges that may not be true of other parts of the city. And I think if you cut up Ward 3 and put 1/4 of Ward 3 into each of the 4 other wards, you would dilute any kind of voice that Ward 3 would have in having those kinds of things addressed by the city. But I don't think that we're really looking at doing that now. At least I hope not. I guess I have one question and one comment. I guess the question that I have, if I understood what you were saying, Bill, is that the wards that we vote on are not necessarily the way that the precincts would be set up for other elections?
The precincts are, we set up our wards as each ward has a precinct. Because you can't have more than 3,500, and each one of them would have about 2,000.
A little over 2,000.
Yeah, 2,200, 2,300. And so we're safe for quite a while to have just our 5 precincts.
Okay. Well, the comment that I had is, I know there were some comments that Ms. Wolf put in her letter. I very much like the idea of including the Wartburg residences that are on the north side of Fifth Avenue in 3rd Ward. That has always been a tremendous source of confusion for a lot of people, in particular the students, on not knowing where they're supposed to go or where they're supposed to vote or what ward they belong to. And most of the rest of the campus belongs to 3rd Ward, but they're over in the 5th Ward. So I think that even though it may have been better if all the properties to the south of the railroad tracks could have been put in that ward, I understand that that would probably not have been practical from a number standpoint. And as I'm looking on the south part of the ward, and it's a little bit hard to tell from this map, I tried to blow it up, and the more I blew it up, the more fuzzy it got. So it looks to me, though, that little tongue that comes down to the south on the 3rd Ward really is pretty well defined. I mean, to the west is the hospital and the golf course. To the east is 4th Street, which is a major artery, and to the south is Memorial Park.
That's why we did it that way.
Yeah, I think it's a very well-defined area, and it certainly is in, the same type of property, the same type of residences as the rest of Ward 3 would be. So, I think that that was done very well. So I'm very much in favor of the lines that were drawn here.
And I have a question about Ward 2. Does it now go down Bremer Avenue?
Yes.
And then follow the river rather than... No. Or does it still stay where one side of Cedar River Drive is Ward 5 and one side is Ward 2?
So the District 1 goes across the river, but Bremer Avenue is the dividing line between District 2 and District 1.
Okay, because that's not how it is now, consistently. Okay, so now it's Bremer Avenue. And then when you go on the river, then, does the river form the border between 5 and 2?
Yes.
Okay, so instead of Cedar River Drive
a little
being the
bit,
border.
Except way at the top.
Because that's very confusing for people.
There's a chunk that's actually where the Waverly Utilities is, but there's no housing in that area. If you hit the census block, it's interesting how you might think I would put a little bit of a piece in there, and then all of a sudden a giant piece pops up.
Right.
And that kind of happened with the residence hall, the residence square up there on north of 5th. So what I wanted to do was go up 7th Street where it's a dead end, but the right-of-way goes all the way to the railroad tracks.
Right.
And then take it to the railroad tracks to 12th, because she doesn't like to use parcels. But the problem is there's a census block that is that parcel, and if I go up 7th and go over on the railroad, it takes a huge chunk around it, and so I can't do one or the other. I have to stay within a census block. So I just described it by, and I think it's parcel D, but you go up, and it is actually the census block. So I felt comfortable about the fact that we weren't dividing a census block, which we can't do. So, and it, like I said, between 4th and 1st on the south side, that will be added to 3 in the future, probably in the next 10 years if it stays with 5 wards. And that'll kind of fill in the downtown central, and we can expand that even a little bit more if there's more growth. So it's a good way of expanding it eventually.
I guess my comments, I would kind of agree with Rod. I think Ward 3 has some unique characteristics that kind of separate it from the rest of the city in terms of a ward, and having a specific council representative from that ward is important. I would note that traditionally they tend to be the lowest voting ward, but that's also because their ward is blocked up because of a lot of the Wartburg population is included within that census-wise, but that doesn't mean that they're not as important as any of the other wards. I think they need to have a representation, and I think Rod's concerned that if they were divided out, that they might lose that voice in the middle of town, which is our historic area of town, which is our oldest parts of town, basically. And so that is good. I agree also, I like the fact that, I mean, I lose the residences and the manors from Wartburg from Ward 5 that has been mine, but it makes a lot more sense for it to stay with the Wartburg property and to, you know, Wartburg students then know, where do I vote? You know, you're at Wartburg, every student at Wartburg is going to have the same place to vote, as opposed to, do you cross Fifth Avenue to go back to go to bed? You know, then you're going to have to go somewhere else. So that's good. As far as describing it, it really, you know, I have always described it as being able to say you've got the center of town and then you go northeast, northwest, south, and southeast and southwest. Now it's kind of more northeast and northwest, and then west and south are kind of the more descriptions of it. My only concern, I guess, question, you know, and it's more of a timing of when the census data came to us and everything, is it's just, we just had an election and we just filled seats, and so we're changing the representatives for 3 of those wards. Now they're shifted where their representatives are from, and some of them are being represented by people they didn't get a chance to vote for. That's just it's not any fault of anybody that was drawing the maps. It's the census data that came back and the changes that the Census Bureau decided they needed to come up with the data. But it is just a little bit odd that, you know, we just voted and people elected based on previous maps, and now we have, you know, some people being moved around, which is, you know, it's a minor detail, but it happens every 10 years.
They weren't changed substantially, though.
No, there's not a huge change. I mean, Ward 5, when I look at Ward 5, it picks up a big chunk of that northwest side of Waverly, the west side of the river that was in Ward 2 previously.
But there wasn't just an election for Ward 2, so,
no.
I mean, a few months.
I fall into that category.
But those people didn't get a chance to vote for the Ward 5 representative. And so there's a chunk there of people that are now going to be represented for the next 4 years by Ward 5 that didn't get a chance to vote for that position.
We also looked at the idea that 5 has some growth potential, but really 4 probably has some pretty huge growth potential, and so does 2.
Absolutely.
So schools. But 5 will have some pretty good growth.
5 continues up there as
Go up
there's
20th
space there, but it's just, I'm more thinking of the idea of representative government and moving people around a little bit.
You're never going to be able to time it.
No,
exactly.
By redistricting, you would have, I mean, we would have to have the redistricting done in March or April so that the next election would be able to be, people would know where they're voting for and stuff. Which also brings me to my other reason why I don't think I would like to get rid of Ward 3 is right now we're kind of nicely balanced with the 5 wards and 2 at-larges. And by getting rid of Ward 3 or making Ward 3 another at-large, you end up with 2 at-larges being voted on every 4 years and 1 at-large the other 2-year block, and rather than 3 wards and an at-large and 2 wards and an at-large. And so it kind of, you know, it's a management issue. I just think it defines out nicely 5 and 2.
Wartburg is hard to accommodate with separating the getting rid of the 3rd, because it's so large that it still wants to be its own area, so it makes it more difficult.
I like Ward 3 the way it is because you only have to have 104 votes and you can still be elected. So.
Just be careful what you wish. If all the Wartburg kids actually figured out that they actually can vote
They have
here.
power, yes. It'll change.
To run unopposed, it also needs.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I ran unopposed, I only got 72% of the vote. So.
I have to agree that I'm really happy that Wartburg is entirely contained in District 3. I know that voter registration has consistently been a challenge in Wartburg because it's not enough to have your a letter that you've received. You actually have to have your contract, which would show which dorm you lived in order to register. So now they can just say, I live in the dorms at Wartburg, and they'll all be in the same ward. So I'm actually optimistic that it may increase voter turnout for Wartburg because they'll all know where to vote. There won't be this question of I don't know which ward I'm in because of this dividing line, having to prove which ward you're in. I think it just makes life a whole lot easier for them. So I'm based solely on the fact that Wartburg is all in one ward. I'm in favor of this ward map.
I would agree that I would not be in favor of splitting District 3 up and going to just 4 wards. I think what Rod said has a lot of credence, and I can't think of any significant benefit to getting rid of that as its separate ward.
Yeah, the only comment that I have is that we have to remember that we all represent the entire community on things. So with that.
Just a fun fact.
Uh-oh.
I like fun.
So if we had done the redistricting at the end of September like we should have, we would still have voted in the same ward.
In the old wards.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Well, as I said, I probably would have
Active until the next
correct.
cycle.
Yeah, it would have had to have been done back March, April to have, and even
Right.
then, probably not enough time.
I suspect we'd have to move our voting until after, because I think the wards are determined more by when the new state districts and the federal districts and all that
Yeah,
goes
all
through
that
at the same
data
time.
came in later this year, so everything got pushed back. So, yeah. As I said, it's no fault of anybody here with that. It's just there's just kind of personal.
I think the process has been sped up, but when it actually becomes law, it's still going to be it would be the same date.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, yeah. Last time it was in January, so that they approved ours. It's interesting because this, doing this program the way it is, I wonder if other states have as good a feel for this and the programming, because I can see why the LSA was able to move around and get it done quickly, because it isn't that hard to move blocks here and there and just kind of play with it for quite a while to get things moved. It used to be doing that by hand. You're looking at it and you're redrawing it with pencil, and so it's a little bit different when you have the computer that you can just kind of click and change colors, and that's why they did it so fast. I was pretty surprised.
And just to give an idea of the finishing timeline, so we will go ahead and take this. We'll probably try to waive the third reading of this or set aside the rules and get this done in December 6th, because Shelley, the auditor, has given us her blessing. Then it has to go to the County Board of Supervisors, and then it has to be at the Secretary of State by December 31st at the latest. And that date has not changed, even though the rest of us, we're kind of playing catch up.
All right. No further comments? Roll call, Carla.
Birgen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Meyers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
On a vote of 7-0, 0 absent, the first reading of ordinance 1095 is approved. Item number 11 is the first reading of ordinance 1097, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 3 city limits of the Waverly Municipal Code and setting a public hearing. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of the first reading of ordinance 1097, an ordinance amending Chapter 3 city limits of the Waverly Municipal Code and setting December 6, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall as the date, time, and place for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
What property are we adding to the city?
Right.
The two properties would have been on, I think, since the last time we actually did this, was the property on 20th Street North, and then there would have been, I think Champions Ridge was added.
So they've already been added, it's just recognized as within the city limits.
And by the way, this one wasn't so easy. This is manual. And so it took me a while to do this, and then I was glad that Shelley in the auditor's office helped look at it too for me. So
No playing on this one. This one was kind of wicked, so.
So when we annex something into the city, we don't automatically change the code boundaries at that point.
We could do that, and we probably will start doing that. Some things I get aware of after I realize that they...
Learn by practice, okay.
I found Chapter 3, because I was provided Chapter 3, that's when I found it. So it was probably since Jerry did it back in 10 or 11, I think.
Honestly, I couldn't find when it was done last.
Because it wasn't done by me, so it's...
So we're probably adding more than just those two properties.
I don't think I didn't find any. I didn't find any of those two. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, roll call, Carla.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Meyers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
And Birgen.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0. First reading of ordinance 1097 is approved. Item number 12 is the first reading of ordinance 1096, an ordinance adopting the city code of the city of Waverly, Iowa, and setting a public hearing. Entertain a motion.
I'll approve the first reading of ordinance 1096, an ordinance adopting the city code of the city of Waverly, Iowa, and setting December 6th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of City Hall as the date, time, and place for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Kangas. Council discussion. I know this is an annual
Yeah, we get to do this every year.
stamp of approval.
It's how we keep chaos from returning.
Sure. Well, with that, roll call, Carla.
Kangas.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Bergen.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Vote of 7-0, 0 absent. First reading of ordinance 1096 is approved. Section J is reports from boards and commissions. Item 1 is Library Board of Trustees minutes from August 10th, 21. Item 2 is Historic Preservation Commission minutes of August 23rd, 2021. Item 3 is the Library Board of Trustees minutes of September 14th of 2021. Item 4 is the Historic Preservation Commission minutes of September 27th, 2021. Item 5 is the Bremer Waverly Law Board minutes of October 11th, 2021. Item 6 is the Library Board of Trustees minutes of October 12th, 2021. Item 7 is the senior calendar for November 2021. And item 8 is the City of Waverly State Annual Financial Report for fiscal year 2021, all received into the record. Section K is staff updates. Mr. Bronner.
Garrett has got a brief update for you, sir.
Perfect.
Just wanted to let everyone know that the last day for golf will be tomorrow. We are going to be open tomorrow now. Then we will be closing for the season after that, unless it gets really nice come December again. Last year we did open up for about 70 golfers for 2 days. We are honoring season passes for tomorrow as well. So yeah, if you have a chance, come on out and golf. Probably the last time this season. Open at 10 o'clock. And then this last Saturday, November 6th, was the candlelight walk. We ended up with 184 humans and 13 dogs. So it was a very good turnout. You know, thanks to everyone who came out and helped. Thanks to everyone who came out and actually had a good time and enjoyed and drank some hot chocolate, even though it was still fairly nice out.
Thanks, sir.
Bill will give you a quick update on our land sale.
So the last meeting, we had discussed the process we're using under the urban renewal plan in order to take bids. And the notice itself and the resolution said that you intended to approve the bid that was made in the event there was no other bids made, and that we would accept bids until the 30 days were up, and that is December 3rd, which is not December 6th. So we don't want to take bids on the day of the meeting, the day of the public hearing. So it is 4 o'clock on Friday, and we will determine if there's any change in the status of the bidding. If there's a higher bid that will be submitted, we'll probably try to upload a change on that afternoon between 4 and 4:30. And then if there's no change, it'll just be the way it is. We'll have that in the agenda, the way the bid was made. It is very possible we could get additional bids, and we will process those and figure out and make recommendations to council based on the amount of those bids and by whom those bids are being made. which we think is relevant to your consideration.
So no auctioneering at the day of the hearing.
All right. Thank you.
That's all we have, sir.
Thank you. Council comments, Mr. Birgen.
I just would like to invite anyone who wants to discuss city council business to join me for a beer afterwards. I'll be at the Beach House.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Beaufort?
No comments, thank you.
Ms. Rathe?
Nothing from me.
All right. Ms. Meyers?
I wanted to express my pleasure that Bremer Brewing has opened up, and I haven't had a chance to get down there and try them out yet, but it looks like they had a great opening last week, and we're happy to have them as part of the business community. I'd encourage everybody to try that out.
Thank you. Mr. Schneider? Mr. Drenkow?
Yeah, that just thought about that actually on the west side of the river, we're having a number of businesses that are opening, retail businesses, which is really nice. And that part of town is really starting to shape up. So hopefully we'll have the restaurant and the coffee place opening soon, and invite everybody to stop over on the west side of the river for a change. So.
You're here for Ward 3.
Yes.
Mr. Kangas.
Just kind of want to let council know that this is something that probably we may need to address as a council. A number of years ago, we increased the size of the Planning and Zoning Commission in order to try to have a better opportunity to get quorums. Went from 7 to 9. This last Thursday, we were not able to get a quorum, and we had actually pushed the hearing back from the first Thursday of the month to the second Thursday of the month, and then we were still not able to get a quorum. We actually had 5 commission members there, but one had to recuse herself because she was involved in what was going to be discussed, which happened to be the new school locations. And so we're going to have to reschedule, try to find a time that works for the Planning and Zoning Commission to get together to discuss that special provisional use, because they need to be able to talk about it before it goes to Board of Adjustments, so that Board of Adjustments can then make a decision recommendation on that as well. But that puts a lot of strain on the school in terms of the district, in terms of their planning and timing of things. So it is something that we may need to look at and see, is getting 5 out of 9 a better option than trying to get 4 out of 7 for a quorum purposes going forward. That's just something to bring and make everyone aware of. The other one thing I want to do is, this is our first meeting since the elections, and so I do want to thank everyone in the city of Waverly that participated. We had pretty good turnout again for a citywide election. That's something that I'm proud of. Waverly over the years typically we've done pretty well in terms of our turnout comparatively to other cities with citywide elections. I want to thank all of the candidates that ran. The citizens did vote and chose to re-elect those that were on council already, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a block of citizens out there that were interested in some different ideas and different viewpoints. And so I think as council members, we need to keep that in mind. Even though we were re-elected, there still is a whole city that we represent, as the mayor mentions, and each of us have our ward, but we do represent the entire city, and we do need to take into account all of the different viewpoints for that.
Can I interject?
Yes, sir.
The P&Z meeting, unfortunately, I wish it would have gone through, but the Board of Adjustments meeting would have been the second Monday, and it's going to be the second Tuesday, I believe. We're still going to have a meeting on a normal December 2nd date of the P&Z, so that we're not holding up the final decision of the school site plan reviews. It'll actually be the same as it would have been had we been able to do it last Thursday.
As long as we get a quorum.
Right. And so far, I think we have 5 already there saying yes.
I just want to clarify your statement that you wish that there would have been a quorum to move through, not specifically the matter.
Right. Yes, we wanted to have that done.
Right. All right. I had just a couple things. So first off on my list was the cheerleading team, earned a 7th place finish here with WSR, just 2 points shy of a 6th place finish, which is really good for their first year in competition. Cheerleading, that is. Obviously, volleyball team took a 2nd place finish in the 4A bracket. It was great seeing everybody that turned out for the game down in Cedar Rapids, and then also seeing the good handfuls of people that attended the return ceremony for their 2nd place finish there. And the football team, with their unfortunate loss in the semifinals, still did an outstanding job, for their tenure of not being in the playoffs and that kind of thing. So that's really good. Just a side note, all of the city council, city individuals got the invitation for the Iowa League of Cities things. Just a side note, we're hosting, or not we are, but Iowa League is in town tomorrow for one of the budget sessions. So if you are a business owner or just a person in town, you may see some strange faces checking out downtown or that kind of thing. It might be somebody from another town. So not that we are never exercising Waverly nice, but just be on high notice. So, and I like seeing all the Christmas decorations going up downtown as well. So with that, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Schneider, second by Birgen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.